I'm Mike Villar, and I'm running for Allegan County Prosecuting Attorney. The election, the primary for this year is on August 6th of 2024. I've been doing a series of videos for my campaign, and in this video I'm going to focus on the campaign worker of Myrene Koch, which is Jim Storey. Jim Storey is the head of the Allegan County Board of Commissioners. He's also a part of the action team, is what they call it. There's 5 commissioners who kind of walk in lockstep and vote in lockstep. Mr. Storey was the campaign manager, he was a campaign worker for Myrene Koch. In the past, he's worked for Judge Baker's campaign, and Judge Baker's who appointed Myrene Koch. And currently, I think he's working with Elizabeth Peterson in her run for the open circuit court position in Allegan County. So Mr. Storey has a long history of being involved in politics. He's also the head of the Board of Commissioners. Now, interestingly, the Allegan County Board of Commissioners has no conflict of interest policy. So Mr. Storey can work on someone's campaign and then vote on their budget. And so what has happened in this case is that he votes on Myrene Koch's budget as well as his action team. As a result, Mr. Storey votes on my opponent's budget. And in the last 6 years, my opponent's budget has gone from 1.2 million to 2.1 million. So he has voted every year to increase the budget of my opponent, who happens to be someone he worked for on her campaign. Allegan County has no conflict of interest policy, so he can continue to do that. It's important to note that Mr. Storey would have read my editorial in 2020 where I detailed the high cost of my opponent's ambition, and I predicted that because of her behaviors and clogging up the courts, Allegan would get a new circuit court judgeship. That is exactly what has happened, and none of the commissioners can say they should be surprised by it because they heard me saying it in 2020, and Mr. Storey, least of all, should be surprised by it because that was part of what I was running on in 2020. Yet, despite knowing that, in 2023, the Allegan County Commissioners approved a new circuit court judgeship for Allegan County with the salary commitments that go with it, and they also approved a $7.8 million reconstruction project for Allegan County building, which they should have seen coming. And it's been my opinion all the way through since 2020 that was not needed. That judgeship is not needed. It was manufactured. It was manufactured to create a position ultimately that my opponent wanted to walk into. It's my opinion that Jim Storey and his action team bear responsibility for the massive increase in the prosecuting attorney's office's budget. They bear the responsibility for the $8 to $10 million reconstruction of the Allegan County courthouse. They bear the responsibility of adding $300,000 or $400,000 a year to the salaries that are going to be paid out for the judges and the judge's secretary and the judge's law clerk. In addition, they've approved up to 11 prosecuting attorney spots. There used to be 8 assistant prosecutors. Now they've approved 11 assistant prosecutors. That is done at a significant cost per year because not only do you have to pay the prosecutors, you have to pay their benefits and all the other things that go along with having an employee. So that's a significant increase that will happen on a year-to-year basis forever and ever and ever. And currently, fortunately, my opponent can't seem to hire anybody to fill those spots. But that is another thing that I think Mr. Storey and the commissioners bear responsibility for because they should have been watching. They should have been watching, and they should have tied the increase in budget to the production level of the prosecutor's office. So while my opponent is only winning less than 20% of her district court trials, while my opponent is only winning less than 50% of her circuit court trials, while my opponent has lost 17 assistant prosecutors in the past 6 years, she is rewarded with massive budget increases. And I think that it's something that needs to be addressed and should be addressed. And I think, honestly, that the commissioners should be ashamed of what they've done.